Now, Jason, thanks for being here tonight. Tell us about this bill and how it would help the danger that we've been seeing at our southern border.
Well, Jen, good evening. It's good to be with you this afternoon. You know, the important thing here is that we recognize there are tools of national power and authority that are needed to finally focus our government to go after these cartels. And Congressman Chip Roy's third bill, by the way, it actually addresses that need. First, it goes after the Sinaloa cartel that's operating in 54 countries around the world and is the major producer of deadly fentanyl pouring into the United States. It also focuses on Cartel Jalisco New Generation, also known as CJ&G, producing most of the meth, but also the most hyper-violent cartel in Mexico, to include the Gulf Cartel, with which you just talked about, and Cartel del Noreste, also known as CDN or the Los Zetas, one of the former most violent cartels in Mexico. Now, here's why it's important, because the tools and national power that we get from the terrorism designation does three major things that we have not had traditionally using the law enforcement model. First, it allows us to go after their money rapidly around the world. You know, you've heard for years about why aren't we targeting the cartel's money? Well, we have, but we've tried to do that using the Fourth Amendment, and that system by design is very slow. What this is going to do is put speed in the system and allow us to go after their assets real time. Second, we're going to limit their mobility globally because we're going to put them on no-fly lists. And then third and final, we're going to be able to get the tens of thousands, and I think this would stun most Americans to know how many cartel operatives are here moving deadly drugs into this country. It allows us to get them out of the country very rapidly because you can't be a terrorist in this country. So this is truly one of the tools that we need. And look, we've got to be very open and honest. Families in this country have been hurting from what has been taking place, and they need solutions. And this is the first major tripwire that if we get this designation passed, that we now have the ability to finally go after these cartels and bring the world's best of the best to absolutely crush them.
It was obviously very alarming, some of the footage we saw this week. That surge of border crossings, particularly in El Paso. We saw that massive group of migrants storming the border between Mexico and El Paso. They're trying to overwhelm Border Patrol agents. They said there was over 1,000 illegals. What have you heard from Texas DPS or CBP on this? Do they expect something like this to happen again?
Well, they do, and you've got to remember why and what really caused this on Sunday, Jen. It was what happened in December. We went from 256,000 apprehensions to, in January, just around 150,000. So where did that 100,000 people go? Well, the Biden administration implemented the enhanced processing where people in Mexico could then fill out this CBP-1 app and then try to make their way across the ports legally through a new status under humanitarian parole. Here's the problem, though. That has backed up 100,000 people in Mexico, along with the other caravans that have been flowing in. And that's what you saw really was the beginning of this. So what we're going to see over the next few months is not only like we've seen the last 2 years, Jen, with people crossing between the ports, but now they've migrated that problem onto the ports as well. And you're going to see a lot more of this because in Mexico, people are tired of waiting. The CBP-1 app has not been successful. And get ready to see more of this in the coming months, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, Jason Jones, you've been doing a great job down there. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for taking time to be with us tonight.
Great to be with you, Jeff.
And meanwhile, Congress